Hello, I've recently featured a number of Philips N1700, N1702 video recorders that take this kind of cassette from the late 1970s. And much as I was quite thankful for those machines, it's been an interesting experience, I'm not sure I ever want to see another N1700 video recorder. Oh, crikey. Okay, one more to look at then. Okay, compared to some of the other machines I've had from the same source, this one looks a little shabby. So that's bashed in there. There's lots of surface scratches on it. Does it have heads? Yes, it has heads. Let's have a look at those. Okay, video heads are in there. The deck's a bit sort of mottled, like it might have been stored somewhere damp. A little bit of rust. It's not necessarily the best machine. So if the heads were good, I could just take the heads out and put it into one of the other machines where I know I have a machine that I had to raid heads from recently. Oh look, lots more rust. So do we just scrap it here and now, or do we see if we can fix it? Well, I know you want me to have a look at fixing it, don't you? So let's just see what we have. Let's not make any rash decisions. Just take a look at what we have and see if this could be fixed. Of course, one course of action could be to straight away take the heads out, put them into another machine and at least test if the heads are any good. That might be a thing to do, but maybe we'll just have a look at this first. Okay, inside, whilst the deck is quite grubby and you have the usual rust on the tuner, it's a little dirty, but it's not completely horrible. Let's have a look under here. The switches are intact because these can break. Does it deserve a chance? Oh, screw in there. Usually that's missing. A little bit of mottling here on this heatsink. There's actually an intact, but it's snarled up around the motor pulley. Okay, I've managed to get that belt back onto its pulleys, which is never the easiest of things to do. So, okay, that will need replacement anyway, but it's good enough now just for testing. And there's a capstan belt in place as well, and the other belts appear to be intact as well. So that's quite unusual. Clearly it's had some service work done on it at some point. So should I power it up and see what happens? Just check these. Right. This slider here is sliding back very slowly because of lubrication issues. So I'll give that a bit of a lubricant to fix that. Okay, so I'll apply a little bit of the relevant lubricants in various places around the deck such that we could give it a whirl. Right, so I've just briefly applied a bit of silicone grease to some of the parts that slide and a bit of oil around the loading mechanism. So hopefully we're giving it the best chance we can. This assumes electrically it works, of course. Let's start by plugging it in and see if we get any life out of the clock. If the clock does at least something, then we know that we've got a 12-volt line. If not, then the 12-volt line has failed. Alright, so switch it on. We have colons on the clock. It's supposed to do more than that, but at least it's something. Let's do the usual trick with these sliders like that. And now it should attempt to lace up. The head is spinning. I had to give it a bit of a push to get it to lace, but it did. And now that the oil's working in, that's looking better. Hit start. And it stopped. Okay. It's basically working. Let's try fast forward. And rewind. You know, it's got to be worth just hooking it up to the TV. Of course, it's only got modulator output at the moment. It doesn't have any AV connectors, but it's got to be worth just seeing if we can tune it in and get anything. I'm just going to rewind the tape a bit. Which is rewinding really well, I think. Stop. Start. Okay, let's tune it in. Oh, that might not... looks like head servo. And I can hear the head servo ramping up. And now it's slowing down. Now, we had a head servo failure on a previous one, didn't we? Yeah, the head servo sounds like it's behaving itself now. Okay, I've got it, I think, tuned in roughly. I'm getting sound and a hint of picture. And the sound sounded like sometimes the capstan servo wasn't always there, but other times it was there. It could be that we just have clogged heads. There could be an electronic fault. It could be off tune. One thing I'll try at this point, I think, is just manually clean the heads. But what I probably need to do is fit an AV output circuit to this thing. Oh, well, there's definitely something coming off the heads. So they may be contaminated. That might be part of my problem. Right, let's try that again. I'll leave it for a few minutes and I'll also go and get another tape. Okay, different tape, but I'm fairly sure this is a good one. The head drum servo's hunting a little bit. Right, that's playing the tape. There's a lot of lateral wobble, but it's working. So considering that's just sort of pretty much off the pile, that's not doing too badly for the starters. I think really we'd need to fit the video output circuits, but I've only got one board left and that's not populated, so I'll have to work on that. Also, the tracking's a bit... it's not the best. Sometimes it's hard to get it to track properly. The picture's a little bit grubby, but then so's the machine. It could be that it will settle down. Did some odd things when I loaded that tape. What is that noise? What happened when I laced it up then? That was a very odd noise. Let's do that again with no tape. What's it playing at? We have a fault. Because when it's supposed to be unlacing, the clock's going off. So it was working. Oh no, it is working again. That's laced up properly. Play. Now what? Right, now it's working. Switch it on. Press play. That's correct. How odd that it wasn't working a moment ago. Okay, so sometimes it works, but we seem to have both capstan and drum servo issues, especially capstan. Sometimes it gets it together and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't unlace properly, like then. And this tape in particular seems to really annoy it. I think our biggest immediate problem is the capstan servo loss. And during that condition, this is true of any video recorder, when you have a rolling picture like that, the tracking control won't do anything because oh, now what? That might have been a bit bad tape. The power supply is shutting down due to some sort of overload, I think. Okay, so we're having problems with the power supply shutting down. Tell you what though I have found, which is interesting. Now I look at it. There are two big springs here, one there, one there. And do you remember I said last machine I worked on, I found a spring floating around in the bottom of the deck? It was a big spring like one of these. So I'm just going to go and get that machine and have a look at it and see where that spring came from. What did I do with it? I put it somewhere safe. Aha! I put it over here. So I think it's one of those two springs that's fallen out of my other machine. I think so. So let me just go and check the 1702 we were working on a couple of weeks ago and see if either of those springs is missing. Okay, I fitted that spring there, so it's now correctly installed on that lever at the bottom. You can see it goes into a little hole at the bottom of this lever and pulls it up to this post here. It's not that surprising it fell off when you look at the design. It could have been a bit more secure really, couldn't it? But there we are, we've fitted that part on the N1702. Yeah, it's not the best bit of design work, that, is it? It's nothing really holding it on. Same true for this spring. There's nothing really holding it in place. So yeah, we do have some problems with this machine in that it seems to be shutting down when it's supposed to be running a motor. So it's going to be a bit tricky to fix.
How many of these machines can you actually use?
Well, yes, okay. I have got quite a few of these as it happens, Scott. But not as many as you think, because the last one I featured, which was the 1702, which was a later and slightly better version, I had to steal the heads out of a working machine in order to make that 1702 work. So I'm one set of heads down.
So why don't you take the heads from this one and put it in the machine you had to raid the heads out of?
Yeah, I know. It does seem like it's just not worth fixing this one or going any further with this one until I get some more heads. So, you know, you're right. That's what I should do. So I am going to take the heads from this one, put it into the 1700 that I already know that works. It just needs a drive belt and heads. It's already got audio and video connectors. It's already a good machine. Maybe that's better use of time than trying to fix this dead one. Okay, yeah, you're right. You talked me into it, Scott. Let's do that. So that doesn't mean this one's going to get scrapped. It just means that I can't spend any more time working on it until I've got another set of video heads, because it doesn't make sense to pour loads of time and work into this one when I've got a good working machine. Just needs those heads. And the drum belt on this is already horrible anyway. That would have needed replacing anyhow. So I don't feel guilty about popping that off. I think the machine I'd raided the heads from has a set of scrap heads installed in it at the moment. Right, it's a 2mm Allen bolt to take the drum flywheel off. Do you know what I've noticed on this one? There's no end float. So that was wrong. That might explain why the picture is shimmering and why the drum servo was struggling, because there's no end float, so the motor's too tight against the shaft. Right, let's very carefully. So I've undone those. Let's carefully take the head drum off. Right, so no, we know these are good working heads. Let's install that into the otherwise good working machine. Okay, this is our target machine then, which we know it needs a new drum belt, and I've ordered some in, so that's good. And we know it has knackered heads. These heads are either N1500 or knackered 1700. I can't remember which, but either way, they're not correct for the machine. Right, and this is our gone drive belt because it keeps falling off. So I'll take out these hopeless heads. Let's install the known good heads. There's a little bit of end float in that. Now you've seen me change this drum belt countless times, and every time I get really upset and frustrated. It's really awkward. I've had a viewer say what they always did was sticky tape the belt to this drum pulley and then put it in place and then put the belt round, which is an idea. Honestly, every time you change the belts on one of these, you regret your life choices. But there we go. The drum belt is in and working, and the capstan belt is in and working, and everything's properly reassembled here, so we can put this back together and test that it works using the AV outputs. Okay, let's try it. So this one's got a somewhat scrambled clock. Oh, it's shutting down. Don't tell me the head drum isn't rotating. head drum's not rotating. The belt's fallen off already. I hate the drive belt arrangement on these. But there must be something going on, because this was throwing its belt off before, so there's something going on that it keeps throwing the belt. Why is that happening? Yeah, the belt's snarled up. Why? I'm wondering if there's something wrong with the belt pulley. Let's have a close look at it. So every time this pulley spins up, it throws the belt off. I'm going to clean it up a bit, I think. Okay, I've cleaned that up, and I've also snapped a wire to the micro switch, so I'll just fix that. And maybe it'll work a bit better. Okay, please be my witness. These are both working. Neither belt is falling off in any way. So, please, ask this machine to not throw the belt off as soon as I start it up. I mean, what would the reason be that as soon as I start it, it throws the belt off? Right. I'll start it up initially with no tape in there. That's good. Right. I did slightly mangle the AV output sockets by rolling the video recorder back onto them, so I'll just fix those later. But let's first see if we can actually play a tape. It's not great. It actually looks kind of similar to the way these heads looked in the machine that they came on. Only worse. And I'm beginning to wonder if those heads are actually no good. I don't think I've seen that effect of lots of sideways shimmer from worn video heads before, but the fact that they do exactly the same in two machines, and this machine was known working, does very much imply that these heads are actually no good anyway. You might be thinking, why was the picture so much worse in this fully working machine than it was in the machine that this head originally came from? I think that's just down to luck, actually. Back tension, tape path, head tolerances. But, you know, we should probably have a look at the FM envelope, shouldn't we? So I'll just get that set up with the oscilloscope. We can see if there's nothing coming out of one of the heads. Right, I've got the oscilloscope set up, I think, on F21, actually on R100, the top end of that. So let's see now if we get an FM envelope. That looked valid, to be honest. You know what? I'm actually seeing what looks like a valid FM signal there. So why am I not getting a useful picture? The lack of a head switching signal makes it a little bit harder to interpret what you've got, but really that looks like a good FM envelope as far as I can tell. And when I move the tracking, it goes off, and when it comes, you know, you get tracking. That looks, yeah, exactly what you'd expect if you're off track. I'm beginning to wonder if there's something wrong with this machine. Interesting. I'm actually going to swap the FM demodulator board over from the other machine, because that one seemed to give us a better picture. So I'm not sure I trust this board, and it's trivial to swap, so let's just do that. Okay, this is the FM demodulator board, which has come out of the machine that we were originally working on, because we know that can give us something resembling a picture. So let's try it in here. Alright, I haven't fitted it properly yet. Let's just see if we get a picture. No, it's much the same. Yes, it's maybe just a hint better. You can't see it because there's a board in the way. It's a little bit more recognisable. So maybe this board is slightly better, but still I believe the heads are no good. Yeah, I'm fairly sure the heads are shot, even though the FM envelope looked okay as far as I could tell. With that head switching signal, it's hard to tell. Alright, we really need to get some more heads to play with. Okay, well, that's worth a try. Yes, I know it does seem a bit odd that the results are actually worse for the same heads in this supposedly fully working machine than they were in the machine that they came from. But nonetheless, it still very much looks like worn heads. Oh, and the other thing is the FM envelope didn't look too bad as far as I could tell, but that could be wrong as well. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed what we've done here today. I'll do plenty more content on audio and video technology in the near future. Bye for now. Right, such is the chronology of making YouTube videos. They don't necessarily come out in the order they're shot. And so I can tell you now that tomorrow I'm going on a road trip to collect some N1500 and N1700 machines. But whether you actually get to see that video before this one's released, I'm not sure yet. But anyhow, maybe on that trip I will find some good machines or heads so we can put something together from this mess. Catch you later.